everyone. I have the privilege here to talk to Yvette Sonneveld today. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming to talk to us.
It's with such a pleasure.
Thank you. So why don't we start with a short introduction about you and tell our viewers a little bit about how you got into this WordPress community.
Do you have a week? Well, I started using WordPress in 2007.
Okay.
Before that, I was creating websites, hand-coded.
Yeah.
And then I read that WordPress was helping to get into Google earlier.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it was, I think, with hand-coded websites, it was like 9 months.
Okay.
So I tried Google.
Right.
I tried WordPress, and I had a site within Google within 24 hours, and that was so quick that I sort of never looked back.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's how I started with WordPress. And then in 2014, I was at a crossroads in my life where I was fighting insecurity, and I had been doing that for a long time, and not that it's not ever gone.
Right.
But I'm getting better at it.
That's
So I had to do something because I wasn't good at presenting myself as a professional. I was helping people, but I wasn't really taking a stand for what I did.
Right.
So I made myself travel to the US by myself.
Wow.
When I bought the ticket, I started freaking out.
Oh.
But I signed up, I bought a ticket for WordCamp in Miami. And I lived in the Caribbean then. So that was only a 2-hour flight.
Yes.
Now I realize that I'm privileged that I get to travel as someone from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But going by myself through US Customs, that was scary too.
Yes.
But so after I bought the ticket, both for the plane and for the event, I got an email that they were looking for volunteers. So I thought, that may ease my nerves because I'm working on something instead of freaking out who I talk to next.
Right.
So that's sort of how I started to get to know the community. And then a few years later, when we moved back to the Netherlands, the first thing I did when I restarted my business at that point was traveling to Paris to WordCamp Europe and volunteering there. And then a ball started rolling. People started asking me to maybe consider speaking. I started contributing to the marketing team, got to know more people, and landed more assignments. And one of those resulted into the job as a marketeer at level where I'm right now.
That is so fascinating, and that is actually very courageous of you to do, to take that stand and to take that leap of faith to sort of go out of your comfort zone and do the things. But, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and
it does. But sometimes you have to look for challenges.
Yes.
It's one of the ways that I was able to grow my self-confidence a bit more. And it's something I learned from a personal coach, someone in personal development, and it was about comfort zones.
Right.
You have this comfort zone where we're all nice and safe.
Yes.
And she says the circle out there is your stretching zone, and then the outer one is your panic zone.
Right.
So as long as you stretch your comfort zone into your stretching zone, you are growing without panicking.
Right.
And that's what I still today try to do intentionally.
Right.
Do stuff that sort of scares me.
Yes.
To make sure, because in my opinion, this comfort zone is like a muscle. If you don't work it, it will shrink.
Yes.
So you have to work it to keep it
stretching.
Yes, and to keep growing.
Be flexible and grow. Yeah, 100%. I agree 100% on that. That is. Thank you for sharing that a little, nugget of wisdom with our viewers. That is very, very important because I think as humans, we grow with our family and we are always in a comfort zone, and sometimes it is very, very scary to just get out of it and do it. Yes. Oh, that's so wonderful. So moving on to a little bit more specific on what you do. I know you work a lot on content writing and all of that, but then we were talking before she came into the show about measuring and checking all of that. Can you tell a little bit more about what you do, and how have you evolved, or how your role is evolving?
Yes, totally.
Yes.
So from that phase where I was developing websites, I started to grow into content marketing more and more. Mm-hmm. And that actually happened because a lot of my web development clients were getting stuck when the website was done.
Right.
Except for the content.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of discovered a talent there that I was able to sort of explain their story,
right.
share their story, and I got more and more assignments content related. But again, since I keep wanting to grow,
yes.
over the past few years, I have taken a deep dive more into marketing strategy. Okay. So I was helping before I landed this job. I was already working with some clients on mm-hmm. marketing plans and customer journeys and buyer persona, and translating that into a content planning.
Right.
And this actually is what I'm currently doing for level 2. Mm-hmm. We already created a marketing plan.
Yes.
We have started a content planning for one of our content topics, mm-hmm. and we're slowly rolling out more content and more distribution.
Right. And how do you measure, right? Like we're talking about like measuring. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? How do you measure, what you put out is actually working or not working? Can you give us a little outline on that?
Yeah, there's several ways.
Okay.
Traffic in general, yes. For instance, of course, if you're creating more content and people, you distribute it on social media and in email, mm-hmm. and it gets linked, it gets into Google and it
right.
gets a sound position,
right.
you will see your traffic increase in general.
Mm-hmm.
You will also see your traffic increase specifically on certain keywords. But some of the things that I'm looking for as well is to help that I'm looking for time on the website. Mm-hmm. We want to keep our visitors longer on the website. Yeah. So of course we also work with things like related content. Mm-hmm. But that's only the first step. That's just your awareness, yes, right?
Yes.
Now we're working on content upgrades for level. But with other clients, I already did that. And then you can start measuring conversions.
I see.
So how many of the people that visit a page mm-hmm. also make the choice to download some sort of resource in exchange for their email address, so you can start build that relation.
Oh, wow.
So you should then see that conversion grow. You
right.
should see your number of subscribers grow.
Wow. Yeah.
And then you'll probably also see your numbers of calls for information, invitations for interviews,
right.
to speak about someone's issue or goal that they're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And in the end, you're working towards getting that revenue up,
right.
But then also get more reviews and get people to refer
back to
befriended businesses to you too.
Right.
So in all those stages of the customer journey, you try to measure success.
Okay, no, that's very helpful. So one of the questions that I had was, I know you initially or still, I think you write a lot of content, and to generate new content every time, I mean, it's a tough job. How do you do that? And if you use some of the old content, how do you recycle it and make it make it good, right? Make it, that it's enough.
There's several ways that I do that. One of the ways to find out what people are looking for instance, is a website called Answer the Public.
Okay.
I really like to use that to see what sort of questions people ask, so you can use those questions and answer those.
Right.
Then another way to have sort of a look in people's heads is I use a tool called, what is it again? Easy Ranking. something, and I can send that to you, so you can add that into the show notes.
Yes.
It's a tool that helps you with keyword research, but it also, for instance, gives you what Google Ads your competitors use.
Oh, okay.
And since they oftentimes highly research and test, it will give you a little bit of insight of how your target audience thinks and what pain points you can tap into.
Yes.
So that also is really helpful.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And for myself, since I'm speaking on content, and so if I need to write on content, I use a lot of the questions that people ask after presentations and of the feedback that they give. The things that they say they particularly like, I try to reuse them and then use them in different media, for instance. So get short golden nuggets, like you said, of information, turn those into mini videos, and then again invite people to come to the website.
Oh, that's wonderful. So and I've heard this many times from people, like when you're putting out content or when you're writing a blog or a lot of more content that's going out to the world, the headline of the content is absolutely important, because people only have so much time to choose whether to open it or not. What do you have to say anything about that? Do you think it's important?
Well, we were just having a meetup with other marketers within the WordPress community, and I was sort of relieved that everybody seems to be spending so much time on their content.
Right.
So it helps to not feel as guilty about it. Right now, still, I am using my gut to create one, maybe 2 or 3 titles. But there's actually resources that said that you shouldn't be afraid to create 20, 30 attempts to a headline and then pick the one or test it using AdWords. And then there's tools that will help you test headlines as well. You can rank them for how they score, how they touch people's emotions. And after our conversation half an hour ago, I'm definitely planning to start doing more of that again too.
Oh, that's one. Thank you for sharing that, because I've heard a lot about putting more effort on the headline for people to open, and then and measure how long they stay there, how much they read, and all of that. So thank you for confirming that.
And even before that, because it's always your main purpose of one thing. Of everything you do has the main purpose of getting people to the next step. So your headline, but then also your search engine snippet. There was a great article about that in the website of Yoast to make that more actionable. So in this blog post, you'll read or you'll find out, and I have started to play a bit more with that as well. So then from search engines or from social media, you get them to your website. Then make sure that that title is the same or at least similar, so people don't get startled and get confused, because they'll click away. And then your first paragraph also, because you want to pull them down. You want them to start reading but also get curious and want to find out the answer.
I love how you gave us that step-by-step actions. Thank you so much. That is very helpful. So we have talked a lot now, and I think you are such a wealth. You have so many wealth of resources that we can pull so much information out for you. But I know we have limited time. You've participated here. You gave a talk. What was the talk about, and what do you want? What did you want your viewers or the audiences to take out from that talk?
So my talk was about content repurposing, because I found that if you put a lot of effort in one piece of content and people value that piece of content, still usually you don't get by far as many eyeballs, and you don't touch by far as many lives that you could and that you basically deserve to. So of course I'm not the only one. I haven't invented repurposing content, but I've been looking at ways how to make that easier.
Yes.
I have laid out 4 major techniques, or major strategies, I should say, in my talk. One being a seasonal cleanup, so to make sure that whatever content you have is still up to date.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't attract any traffic or it doesn't have any incoming links, to take the valuable stuff out of there and fold it into another piece to give that one a boost.
Right.
But then still redirect so that you don't lose any incoming links.
Yeah.
So that was one technique.
Okay.
Then I use a lot of content splintering. So if you have long form content like an ebook that doesn't get many downloads, to take parts of that and use chapters as blog posts and then invite them to the ebook. Yes. It's like going in a supermarket and get a free sample, right? Yeah. Then you have a taste for it, and you're more likely to take action if you like it.
Yes.
But one step back, blog posts, for instance, have golden nuggets of information as well.
Right.
And you can post those on social media instead of posting like an ad sharing that you just posted a new blog post. But you offer value right in the feed, because not by far anyone will click, but anyone will see it, will start to get to know, like, and trust you.
Absolutely, yes.
So then there's another one that's called content stacking.
Okay.
And that's the other way around. So you take a series of articles, for instance, and you turn that into an ebook. Because a lot of people still are just blogging and they don't do anything else with that.
After that,
and the last technique that I explained is a media swap, where you turn your existing content into another sort of media, and that way you'll cater to people with different learning styles. So there's people who love to read, but there's also people who like to listen.
Yes.
And there's people who like to watch.
Yes.
And then there's a group who likes to apply the knowledge. So you could help them out with worksheets or checklists.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that you actually listed out like 4 ways to do things, because I think it's so much easier to take actions when you have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So I'm sure our audience will get a ton of value from that. So thank you so much for sharing.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, and with that said, I think we are running out of time. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a little something from DevotePress here for you.
Oh, thank you.
That's
so sweet.
Yes.
You want to have a sip of tea?
Yes, please.
Because now my throat is starting to kill me. Oh, that is so beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't forget to subscribe, like and hit that bell icon to get notified every time we upload a new video.